You know what surprises me about this particular area is that there's never a firebird around. Not even one. You know. Oh man. Okay, something down here. I'm not doing sandblow because that's too. The area is too hot, too much of a hot potato. And that place is not exactly normal either. Well, it doesn't really have much. Usually, try to look for stuff that you need. Usually music like this tells me there's something in the area. No, 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 no. You are not gacking on top of my wires, cat. I know. I don't care if he does it on a bed. It's a little bit easier to clean up since it's got a mattress cover on it. But that is not happening on my wires. He'll short everything out. Oh, Jesus Christ. Maybe he wants to go for broke. Please tell me it's not going to be like those. I know last time there was something in the area and I did not want to investigate. Sorry, just reading something. Please tell me that wasn't a tank I heard. I'd be very upset. It's like in that one scene from Jurassic Park Lost World. Mommy is very angry. It's like going, yeah, okay. I've seen enough dinosaur movies to know what this is going to turn out to be like. It begs the question, though, about that one. After the first movie ended, why the hell would you want to go back and repeat the same mistakes you did the first time by taking another dinosaur and trying to tame it or domesticate it? It's not like it's a cat, like, you know, feral cat, except this feral cat will eat you, the dog, and everyone else in the neighborhood. And I'm like, Earl explains why we're stupid humans. Hey, let's go ahead and clone some prehistoric extinct animal and see how that turns out. Yeah, okay. That's going to work out for us. And people wonder why, you know, all the disaster movies from the Day After Tomorrow to, let's say, well, let's see, Deep Impact or something is Mother Nature's way of saying, hey, you know what, I got an idea about how to get rid of all the stupid humans. And I'm thinking, do you think I could wait till after breakfast so I could at least face my demise with a full stomach? Like, oh, okay, never mind. You got 10 minutes. Then the carnage begins. And I'm thinking to myself, oh crap, here we go. Nope. Port complex. I'm stealing that one because I know what that's like. I've seen that guy. Actually, he's pretty funny in the Bugs Bunny cartoons. Oh, let's see. Is this the one? Yeah. This is the bad area. Tick Central. Not going in there. It's like the mind full of nightmares. I'm stealing that one too. Oh. You know, they say, well, you know, think the more pressure we put on our government, the worse. It's not the worse it gets. The more crazy insanity we're having to deal with, because now this guy wants to become the Emperor of Europe, and I'm like, why doesn't he just appoint himself the Emperor of the Galactic Empire and get it over with? I mean, seriously, it's about as far as he'll go anyways. Okay, that's what it was. For some reason, let's continue. I guess I'm just so used to hearing tanks. I'm just like, oh, here we go. A friend of mine on YouTube, him and his buddies modded the game a little bit, so the game produces nothing but tanks. Okay, during his last session, he said Sea of Tanks, and you know, he's in the base across from Boot Church. Him and his buddies are having a major firefight, you know, all the fun stuff. And so, you know, there's tanks everywhere in the base, inside the base, outside the base, and they're getting throttled like crazy. And I kept thinking, what does he mean by Sea of Tanks? So, you know, this guy dies multiple times. I mean, he basically makes a career out of it. He's a living legend in that regard. And I'm like going, oh, good, this is going to be fun. Managed to clear out after 2 sessions. There was the first one, and then the second one he broadcast live. And then he gets to the end. Let's see, where was it? He got to the area where, next to the Phoenix base, towards the Little Hamas area. And on the knoll, there's a firing line, nothing but tanks of all classes, all lined up in a row, 60 plus, and they're all congregated together. And his buddy goes, "There's no way I'm gonna go up against that. I'm out of here." And he's like, "Yeah, me too. I'm gone." And I'm like, dude, if I had to face off that many, I'd be crying for my mother right now. I'd be like, oh man, there's no way I could have survived that. I told my other friend, I said, you know what, that kind of a thing would, you know, your doggo would be obliterated in 3 seconds. There wouldn't be nothing left to pick up. I said, even I couldn't stand up against that many. You know, because that amount of firepower, it's like trying to go up against a Super Saiyan God, or autonomous Ultra Instinct. And it's like going, okay, here we go. And then you wonder why. I mean, I know why the guy did it. You know, it's on his PC and everything, but it's still pretty hilarious because the way he did it. And I'm like, oh, dude, you guys really do have a death wish. I mean, I don't know, they're just trying to make it fun, but 60 tanks in a row in a lineup. It's like going, okay, now we're really gonna have problems. And I'm like, oh no, that's not gonna work. Have you like having it's like having, what is that one movie called? Okay, it's not like Spartan, you know, in that movie where they're all lined up for 300. Or something, or the Scorpion King when Anubis, where the guy's leading Anubis' army, and it's like, you know, all of that just coming through Boot Church, the entire field just full of hunters of all types, and no amount of dual purpose rounds is going to take them all out, you know, with a smile. I'd be like, I'd be worth more to facing ticks than that stuff. I'd be like, I think I'm going to just skip this part and pretend that everything's normal. I couldn't believe it. It was just like, oh, are you kidding me? Well, that's what they did. They did exactly that. And I was like, Yeah, but some players really like the challenge and like going, okay. But this guy says he's pretty fun. I'm like, yeah, it is. It's hilarious, you know, watching these guys play like they normally do, and then seeing, you know, all the fun and action and everything. It's like, oh man, this is gonna be awesome. Some of their sessions are pretty intense, but a lot of it's pretty funny because they don't play like serious gamers. I don't think really anyone is, especially me. Like right now in this session, we just play for the hell of it. You know, we just enjoy ourselves, just, you know, enjoy the challenges. You know, because serious gaming, that was like, I don't know, 7 years ago, something like that, when this game first came out, and everybody was like, oh yeah, now we gotta play like we're Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, and, yeah, you know. But now it's like, hey, guess what? Let's just enjoy ourselves. Yeah, I'm just collecting some extra stuff. Well, the thing I got for my Christmas present is a giant 26-quart convection oven, which will do everything that most of these Ninja you know, cookers do. The Ninja series of cookers and stuff's pretty cool, but sometimes you have to find something that will do everything that it takes 3, you know, cookers or whatever to do for one. So I bought this thing off Amazon for 150 bucks. It's pretty good. It's a pretty decent deal. It's like one of the top of the line stuff and everything. And so when I got it, you know, because the image on Amazon was hilarious because it was deceptive. I figured it would be about the size of a countertop convection oven, so I could actually use it. You know, imagine my surprise when the box came in. It was 45 by 45 by 49 cubic inches. And I looked around my apartment and I'm thinking, there's nothing in my apartment that big that'll hold that thing, especially if something got cats. But you know, when you got cats, oh, let's just go ahead and knock this over. And I'm thinking to myself, crap. So I decided to go do some shopping on Amazon for a table. Now, of course, the yutz that I am, I wasn't really specific in finding what kind of table I wanted. I kept looking through all the options and everything, finding out most of these weren't going to work, especially the smaller nightstand type tables that were just too narrow and wouldn't hold a table lamp for beans, because the dimensions of the convection oven was roughly 26 quarts, you know, capacity, which is way bigger than anything I've seen before. So then I kept digging deeper and deeper and deeper, and I went looking for. I went over to the oven, the microwave, the cutting board stand that my late wife left behind, and I measured my waist height, which was, see, I'm like 5'7.5", and I figured something about 3 feet tall would be sufficient. So I typed in 3 foot size table, and what popped up was this really big table. You know, I went through several selections, like halfway down the page. Nothing really was, I mean, a lot of them were good, but most were like $170, $200, $270, $300, whatever. And that's perfectly fine if you're looking for something fancy and, you know, all that fun stuff. But then I scrolled down a few more, and I found this one table. It was like $125, and it was big enough and wide enough, like a work table for mechanics and, you know, stuff like that. But it's big enough, it'll hold the table adequately and anything else, and it's also sturdy and strong enough it'll be grounded, so it won't be unbalanced in any possible way. The only problem is not the table, but where to put it. I said, well, like I told my caregiver the other day, I'm going to have to consolidate a lot of my living space and start compacting everything down. You know, because for some reason, even after my wife, you know, passed away, it was just weird. I got rid of everything I owned for 30 years. And I thought, okay, so I'm down to almost nothing again. You know, what I had before was equivalent to a 3-bedroom apartment in storage for 20 some odd years. So I thought I got rid of everything, and I did. That was last year. But then I've been noticing the past year since then that my apartment's starting to fill up again, and I can't figure out exactly where it's all coming from. Because my purchases have been pretty small. You know, I'm not really buying a whole lot of furniture, no, buying a whole lot of, you know, this or that, you know, fun stuff, luxury items, knickknacks, that sort of thing. But for some reason, I'm running out of living space in my 2-bedroom apartment, which shouldn't be happening, but I am for some reason. So I'm gonna have to consolidate, condense. But a lot of it is a lot of bulky furniture that my late wife left behind. So I got rid of what I could, but I'm still having to find, you know, other avenues to, you know, try to keep my living spaces clutter-free, visual clutter anyways, and go from there. But, you know, I still have a lot of work ahead of me before next year's inspection. Not 26, 27. So I got 12 months to get this place back in order. I got to figure out how to get everything organized and situated. A lot of stuff in the back closet I'm pretty much going to have to toss anyways. Just go with that. So, that shouldn't take more than a few months once I get everything organized. Can't believe I have to do this again. That's been frustrating because there's a lot of stuff that I've been trying to get rid of, and I can't even find a home for it. It's like nobody wants it, and I don't really want to dump it because a lot of the stuff's pretty rare anyways. And most places I've talked to won't take it. You know, they won't take something like that. So I'm just like, okay, here we go. So, gotta still find some other methods. A lot of stuff in the back closet is also, you know, a wheelchair, a couple walkers, because unfortunately I'm getting up in that age, and I'd rather have these things than not have them, because as I told my caregiver the other day, it's going to come to a time when I'm not going to be able to get around at all, and I'm going to need something, a mobility device. And so that's something he agreed about. I said I normally wouldn't be like this, but You know, when you're getting up there in age a lot faster than you want to, yeah, it becomes a problem. And unfortunately, that's the way things are going for my generation. Is that a lot of stuff that our grandparents went through are now being experienced by my generation years earlier than they're supposed to be. And so it's just a sad fact of life. And it's not because of lifestyle, because I was fairly active, heavily active, in fact, you know, as a kid, teen, adult, growing up, you know, that sort of thing. But you know, your body, you pay for whatever you did, you know, either through years of drug abuse or years of being active physically, you know, like being a runner or being an Olympic athlete. Police time. Oh hell, I hit the wrong area again. No, that's not the one area I want to get at anyways. But anyway, yeah, so it's like I was walking, running, hiking, mountain climbing, you know, all that kind of fun stuff. So, you know, eventually when you get older, your body wears out, you start slowing down, and you become prone to injury more and more, and your recovery time is slower and slower. And so, you know, especially if you hit your late 40s, early 50s, depending on your physical condition and what you're experiencing, you know, things can pile up really fast without warning. And it's like, that's what's been happening to me in the last 6 years. It's like, what the heck? Oh, okay, that's what I'm staring at. I'm thinking, what the heck am I looking at? So, but my physical therapist is saying everything is common in my generation because, like I said, everything is showing up earlier. And people are in their 40s and 50s in my generation, so we're having to deal with stuff that our grandparents dealt with 40 years ago, but, you know, years earlier, and it's causing a lot of challenges and issues. But for some reason, you know, with me having arthritis in my shoulder, it doesn't really slow me down as much, but it's kind of weird and interesting that it does show up. And I'm thinking, oh, this is a badge of honor. Like last night, I was making something for myself, and I noticed how thin my arms have gotten. You know, I thought maybe it's just the lighting and everything, but it was just kind of weird. Because I was thinking, why are my arms so thin? You know, and it's my caregiver was saying not to worry about it. I said, I'm not really worried. I was thinking, I've got old man arms now. And as I'm physically in the senior citizens club, not just being 52 almost, but just, you know, having all the things that we, you know, poked fun with our grandparents over, you know, age spots and, you know, skinny arms, bony arms, you know, all the things that us kids used to just, you know, find with amusement or just disdain and, you know, concern, sometimes terror, things like that. Especially when you're watching your grandparents take out their dentures every night, you're like, oh my god. Yeah, that sort of thing. But some of us haven't gotten to that stage yet. But now it's like 40 some odd years later, we're having the same experiences they did, and it's like, what happened? Yeah, so that's pretty fun. But, you know, in this case, our generation, mine especially, we're actually doing better because our medical technology and advancements in medicine is actually eliminating some of the issues that plagued our grandparents decades earlier. You know, advanced treatments, medications, that sort of thing. You know. So we're in a lot better. Our situation's more, you know, stable and palatable than it would have been 40 years ago. If we had, didn't have all these things. So it's kind of nice, you know, knowing that you have arthritis medication, or ointments in my case, and they're highly effective. Versus 40 years ago when this stuff didn't exist. And so, kind of fortunate, you know, having to live through a time where our needs and our needs and issues and concerns will be more adequately addressed. You know, despite some issues and problems, we won't be so handicapped or crippled by our situation or condition as much as our grandparents were. We're more fortunate, so you know, getting older now gracefully is a lot more easier than it would have been. So, anywho, well, the storm up here in Western Washington has caused a lot more problems than we imagined. The governor declared a state of emergency yesterday, and a lot of counties are under flood warnings or already flooded, and it's causing a lot of traffic issues, transportation problems, which explains why when I ordered cat food off Amazon this morning, it's not going to arrive until the day before Christmas or next month, the middle of next month. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I'm so glad my Social Security check shows up at the end of the month where I got just enough cat food to make it through. But also, I didn't take into account that this is the holidays, and I should have gotten an extra bag from the store directly rather than off Amazon. But that's normal, you know, that sort of thing is normal for the holidays, so I'm not worried. And so I'm just, you know, dealing with a lot of you know, challenges, but it's not going to be too terrible a thing. So making sure I don't miss anything. Sometimes I do end up missing out because I'm kind of forgetful in some areas. I'm doing a lot better. I'm not sure if I want to explore that other area, the stores that's in front of me. I'm not entirely sure if that's a healthy idea, because the last time I remember there was a tank in this area. Normally this kind of music thing going on, it means a lot of trouble. I'm going to save myself the pain and just beam myself out of here. Yeah, I hear the tank in the background. This is as far as I'll go. Some days I'll feel like waxing poetic with the machines, and other days I'm just taking it easy, having a nice session. You know, not trying to over-stress myself and stuff like that after a really crazy day. Okay. Please tell me I didn't end up in the same spot I was before. Yeah. Boy, my mind is fried today. Okay, where was I supposed to be going before? Let's see. No. Well, theoretically, I could go back to the mine area where that final mission thing is, but I'm not going to worry about it. Well, you know, that's what happens when the economy gets in the toilet and store theft becomes an issue. I mean, they've been doing this, they've been locking everything up for about the past decade now. It's not a big surprise. Especially when I went to go get shoelaces at Walmart the other day. I'm like, how am I supposed to get shoelaces when it's got the little red locking mechanism? And so one of the associates had to help me with that. She didn't have the key for it, but she just looked at me and then, you know, took one of the shoelaces off the thing, like, you know, the cardboard thing. I'm like, I said, my cats thank you for your assistance. Because Tinkerbell was interested in my shoelaces, but so is Angelo, so I went and got a couple packages of shoelaces for them to play with. And it's been less than a month, and I discovered that Tinkerbell destroyed one of the shoelaces. Somehow I only found one half of the other. I don't know where the other half disappeared to. I'll find it eventually somewhere. But she's a little bit rambunctious. I mean, she's just growing like a weed. And so she's like 6 months old right now. And Sylvia, of course, is being her marshmallowy self. So last time I had a situation like this, there was a whole line of hunters just walking past me. Yeah, not a good thing when you're over encumbered, because your mobility and movement and dexterity issues become a problem. I mean, you can still maneuver and avoid most of the fire, but other times you're gonna get hammered from behind. So I'm gonna go over here. Get myself out of here before I get spotted. Okay, so that one's been ransacked. Oh man, it hurt. My right side seized up, twisted. You know what they say, liver spasm, but it's on the wrong side, opposite of your liver. That's where it's like a muscle spasm. Like, ow! Oh, AJ4 legendary. Now that's a rare drop. That's a very rare drop. You don't usually get an AG4 legendary very often. Man. Trump was saying that they're building infrastructure to target Antifa. You know, by claiming there's Antifa headquarters, they're going to raid it to make it look like Antifa's actually there. If they're going, Antifa is a primary national threat, and when it was pressed for questions, it goes, where's Antifa headquartered? And there goes, we're building up the infrastructure right now. And he goes, what does that even mean? And they said they're just tying themselves in knots because Antifa doesn't actually exist. You know, there's no headquarters, there's no online websites, there's no nothing. There might be a few defunct chapters from about 15 years ago, but that's a far cry from actually being active, because they didn't like it when BLM riots were happening. they were assuming people would roll over after George Floyd got murdered by a rogue cop, and that didn't happen, and they got terrified that, you know, minorities are rising up against them, and that's what spurred this whole business from the get-go. Getting back at people who protested injustice and everything else. It's the strangest thing, living in a country that prides itself on freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of, you know, ability to protest and air grievances on public. Because we can't do that no more. And it's like, you know, they just don't like it when right now we're living in a society where people don't want us to rebel against the government. They want us to be pacified and subjugated. Yeah, good luck with that, buddy. So they're inventing all these imaginary threats that don't exist because they want to consolidate their power, and then they'll use it against the people, and right now the people aren't too happy with that. You know? I mean, there's plenty of examples in the past, but the fact is that there have only been so many effective examples, but they ended in disaster anyways, and failure. But in this case, we're living under a clown regime that can't even do things like it wants to do. It keeps screwing itself up. And so they're just, you know, lashing out the people. And they're just making really stupid mistakes that normal governments that are military police states type would never make. Yeah, making sure that wasn't a Firebird. Sometimes the Firebirds and sort of pop up out of nowhere. You don't want that to happen, especially the roly-polies that have the Spetsnaz class. Those things hurt. They have flame units, but they also have other weapons that make them impossible to kill. The ones I don't like are the grenade throwing roly-polies. We get them together and it's like, is there any chance we get to get coffee break every time you face like 17 or 18 or like 5 of their little support Polarises? And it's like, no. I'm keeping an eye on what's going on. So they only go so far and they dual back. Because that's exactly how you're supposed to do it. Especially in this area. See where this tank is, and as far as I go, I don't go any further. Rarely do I go any further unless I'm not overloaded like I am. I just don't want to risk being spotted. This area is kind of a bitch to deal with. And you're not able to, you know, adequately defend yourself. So you just want to err on the side of caution. And not push your luck much. That's why a lot of the noobs are like, oh, we could just do everything we want to do. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's not going to happen either, buddy. You don't want to end up killing yourself through stupidity. Sometimes the enemy will show up out of nowhere. That's exactly the problems we all have. Because, you know, you can't really spot them despite the fact that your movements are more cloaked now because of the tweaks that the devs actually did. but that doesn't, you know, but still. It doesn't always automatically save you from getting nailed by the enemy. And sometimes you won't know them until they get on top of you, like that last couple of times. When I got tagged by a Firebird, I didn't know where it was coming from until I turned around and looked. I'm like, oh crap. You know. That's when all the fun stuff started happening. And of course, earlier in that last session, I was getting surrounded. A friend of mine and I were doing a session together yesterday, I believe. And we were he was out in the middle of Hindall Island doing his thing, okay? Because I accidentally opened my storage box and kicked him out. I wasn't supposed to do that, but I did it, you know. So he's over in Hindall Island, and I'm out in the middle of nowhere, and I'm getting my butt munched by a whole bunch of machines, and I'm sitting out there going, "Oh, you gotta be kidding!" Because I didn't stream the session. I wish I did, because you would have seen this and had a conniption fit. Because it was really that bad. It was just so bad, and I was just completely surrounded, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is gonna hurt." This was over next to the Brusco Farms area, near the 142 Air Base, next to Ostermark. And it was like, you know, and I was just, there was like 4, then 5, then 6 tanks. More harvesters start showing up out of nowhere. I mean, they weren't showing up out of nowhere, they were just cloaked for a few seconds. And I was like going, you gotta be kidding. And then they show up on the, not on the map, but right in front of you. You know, they glitch out for 3 seconds. And it's like, and then they show up right in front of you, and you're, or sometimes they just show up right in front of you. And it's like, oh hell. You know. And you're like staring right up inside a tank's butt or something. And it's like, okay, good morning, I'm out of here. No. No, there's 4 players, there's 5 players, there's 6 players. It's all in the same congregated area. 4, 5, 6 harvesters, 5 or 6, 7 tanks, and roly-polies, doggos, hunters, whatever else is thrown into the mix. And you're like, oh, this is going to be great. And you can't get out of it. You're basically hosed because you can't get out of the line of fire fast enough, and you're basically just dog meat. So I had spent like an hour trying to get myself out of that hornet's nest, and the problem was not the fact that the battle was taxing and difficult, more beyond my experience, because I've gotten in some tight jams before in the past, managed to squeak out with a win. But this was a complete total clusterfuck, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. No, going down towards the airbase area of the road that splits into a fork type thing. No, there's 3 more Polarises, a bunch of hunters, and now a Firebird. And I'm going, oh, this is going to be fun. It's a scout class, no big deal, you know. And I was just like, crap. You know, because these things are just coming out of the woodworks. So I managed to kill it after a while. Take out the hunters, take out the Polarises, take out the roly-polies, take out the 2 other tanks sitting on the hill, take out the other 3 Polarises sitting on the other hill next to it, and their support craft. And by the time I'm done, I'm so exhausted, my fingers are shaking and everything. I'm just like, oh, come on, get me out of this mess. I came away with some really awesome loot, but still, it was just a nightmare. That's what happens. And because I believe that the devs tweaked up the game so that some areas would respawn faster than, you know, normal. extra careful because this area is very tricky, and sometimes. Yeah, that's as far as I'll go. Because that area, this Stemira, whatever it is, that has all the Spetsnaz class types, and that's the area that I traditionally avoid. Because I do not want to get my butt kicked. My friend said, "You shouldn't be playing the game, should you?" I'm like, "Why don't you go try this on your own and see what happens?" But a lot of people don't understand it. This is probably one of the better games that's come out in a while, besides The Last of Us Parts 1 and 2. And maybe a couple others. You know, I'm not going to dog on any other ones or ding on them, but there's just so few games in the PlayStation library for the... Well, PlayStation 1 had all the good ones. PlayStation 2 had some good ones. PlayStation 3 obviously has some good ones, but I never had the actual system myself. But PlayStation 4 is pretty much one of the solid generation type gaming systems ever made. One of the highest top selling besides the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation 1, so it's like third in line, give or take. The 5 is doing okay. It's not doing great because of all the hardware, software problems still plaguing it, like the Windows 11 is right now, and everyone's not happy with that one either. That's why I'm stuck with Windows 10, because I am not upgrading. I couldn't upgrade anyway after the after they ended the support 2 months ago. There's a message going, well, your computer can't support upgrading to Windows 11 because I'm lacking some core processor power and a few other issues like limited memory space. Because I have a 5 gig hard drive, 500 gig hard drive, and most of the newer systems take 3 or 4 times as much, 1, 2, 3 gig hard drives, and so Windows 11 is like 1.5 gigabytes. The memory issue alone would kill it when not allowed to upgrade. But the other thing is the core processors. I had to look this up. It requires a specific type for core processors, but also they have to be in the core processors done in the last 5 years. Okay. Unfortunately, anything made before 2017 would not be supported. And the laptop my brother bought me and my late wife was actually made in 2015 and was released in 2016 and sold in 2017. So it was wasn't even a Pentium type. I mean, not the Pentium generation that is needed for the Windows 11, but Windows 10 Pro, which I did not like for my Windows 7. I had to nuke all the updates and the attempts to install it on my Windows 7 laptop before it died finally. That system was not able to support it. Some people said it barely upgraded. So there's also other issues with the original Windows 10, and I really was hating on that one too. And then of course, when I got this laptop, it already had Windows 10 on it. But here was the kicker. It barely upgraded to Windows 10 Pro, the second generation version of Windows 10. But as I've already said, it could not upgrade to Windows 11, and so because of software hardware limitations. But here's the thing: when it said to extend the security updates till next year, it said this will give you time to get a Windows 11 operating system. I'm like, no, I don't think so. Because they're having issues with Windows 11 already this morning on Twitter. I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. Because it just seems like, every so often Microsoft will come out with a really good operating system, and then they'll just come out with one that doesn't really work well for people. And they hate it. And I'm like, yeah, welcome to my life. Does anyone remember Windows Vista or Windows 2000? Yeah, we try not to talk about those two operating systems. But XP, Windows 95, Windows 7 was probably the 3 best ones out of the bunch. And then of course, Windows 10's okay. People seem to like that because it has fewer security problems. But Windows 11's obviously having issues that even Microsoft can't solve immediately. Because a lot of the newer generation laptops have the AI functions, especially the Apple systems, which I find kind of interesting because the recent breakthrough in AI allowed this new generation of Apple laptops to do stuff that I've never thought was possible. And it was like, okay, short of replicating tacos and nachos and salsa and dip and all that fun stuff. Eventually we'll have a stable-ish operating system where it doesn't require updates or security fixes or anything else, aka Star Trek stuff. All the memes of Data going, because he was, I guess he was under the influence of some alien influence, right? And he's like trying to tap into the helm control things, and it locks him out, and he's just pounding on the helm console and going, no, 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 no. It's like that, and then the GIF meme is like showing him doing the same thing, except it shows him the blue screen of death, like, and I'm like laughing my butt off, because that's what would happen if it tried to you stick a Microsoft operating system into the enterprise new computer. So that would be pretty funny. Of course, people would be like what Tripp said, that our computer is the most advanced in the fleet and it's 3 decks high. Having something that big, considering that the old UNIVAC and HVAC systems, the cabinet-sized computers back in the 50s and early 60s consumed the entire room. Having a computer on the NX Enterprise that's 3 decks high, I'd be like going, no. There'd be a lot of problems if the computer system mainframe went down. I can understand why Gene Roddenberry created the series in the beginning with, because a lot of the stuff that was involved in the ship's, let's just say, construction, a lot of the areas had a lot of redundancies for a specific reason. And it makes sense because even here in our technology, given spacecraft and the International Space Station, they've always got built-in redundancies in case the primary system goes down or breaks down or shorts out or does whatever. They've got a backup. Same with our satellite systems. We got primaries in orbit, we got sleeper satellites in orbit. So if there was an issue, the backups would come online and continue operation without any interruption to data flow, management, that sort of thing, and human safety. Unfortunately, the space shuttle program had some obvious flaws. I'm not talking about the Challenger and Columbia disasters, but the shuttles themselves were only built for specific missions, but also they didn't have very many redundancies built in for the protection of the crew. Okay, I think that's as far as I'll go because I do not want to attract whatever is in that area. Let's see, what am I going to go now? Get my butt up here, it's a little safer. I'm just gonna save that one. Sorry, I'm in the middle of looking up stuff. That one. I'm gonna go ahead. It'd be funny if I could do that in a raid party. Do the worm. Inch along the floor. Yeah. I got caught up in my okay. Making sure I heard that. Didn't want to get it. I thought for a second that there was no doggos in the area. Sometimes you'll get lucky, other times you will not. Hoping to find nothing. Remember in Last of Us Part 2, you had to find all those safes and had to figure out what the codes were, the clues, and figure out what to do after that. Yeah. Oh, that's so much fun. There's a chest over here. 30 minutes into the game session. I'm about, okay, I'm having way too much fun. Was this the bad area? No, that was the other bad area. That was the area of pain and suffering. And this area in particular is also bad because there's hunters laying around, doggos. That's why the rocket launcher was a lot more fun to use because you could hit from long range. Strip the hornet's nest, watch them run around, pick them off one at a time. Yeah. Or, you know, any given Sunday. It's kind of fun that way. Also, in some cases, in games like this, in this area, a lot of people who are starting out don't know anything about this area, and be like going, oh, this is so cool, and then you find out, oh, hell, I'm so screwed. Okay. Okay, my doggo's all charged up, so in case I need to deploy it again. Oh, man. Yeah, this is the fun part. And there's some other areas. You know, I like these little empty rooms kind of thing, you know, it's like you walk in here, some closets, you know, cabinet closets. Oh man, I wish I had a place like this. Like, cool. All the cabinet space you could possibly want. My wife would love this part. She would love. Of course, then she couldn't find anything. She'd have to go through 16 cabinets just to locate the one thing she misplaced. You know, that's what happens when you're married for 20 years. My wife was like, oh, have you seen this? Skylar, can you go find it for me? I'm like, okay, here we go. And then you can't find it. Yeah, I know there's probably something out there, but I'm not too concerned about it. Of course, this whole area, the Ostervik Industries, it's got so much stuff. It's unfreaking believable. More weapons crates than you could shake a tribble at. Some good stuff. Some not good stuff. Check the season here for a second. This one? No, it's not this one. Not this particular warehouse. This though. Okay, let's see. One last minute. Let's see here. I love that one too. Yeah, when you're trying to say, well, they don't exist, so we're just going to manufacture evidence to make it look like they exist, that's when the problems start. See, since they're not doing so well in their little immigration raids and trying to find fictional Antifa terrorists, they're just frustrated because there's really nothing there for them to, keep the talking points and spin points or whatever going to convince people that there's actual threats. In this era of technology, you can't really get away with that. I mean, you really can't. I mean, it might have worked in the 40s and 50s during the Red Scare and the McCarthy era, but you're dealing with 21st century technology and everything that you could look up a biscuit recipe online and have it in 3 seconds. The government can track your phone and track your whereabouts within the next 5 minutes and then pin you down. Regardless if your phone is on or not, they still have the technology to locate you because our phones have other functions besides, GPS, locating, emergency services, that sort of thing. And we got cameras everywhere in this country more than China does, actually, because of 9/11. They can find you within 4 or 5 minutes or a couple of days, and then you wouldn't be able to escape scrutiny. You would think with all this government resources and technology at their disposal, the government would be able to find its fictional Antifa headquarters and all this other stuff, but they don't exist. They go through all the files, they go through all the paperwork and try to find out if what they've thought was true, but it really isn't. And that's why they're frustrated, because they can't validate their conspiracy theories, especially with some of the things that Casper Patel was saying. And they're all frustrated because what he found didn't exist either. And so that's why he's been silent about a lot of stuff, because it just doesn't exist. So when something doesn't exist, you get more and more frustrated. You get... Whoops. Trigger. So right now they're trying to concoct some weird tale that there's an Antifa headquarters somewhere in the U.S., but nobody can find it except them. And since they can't convince people that it actually exists, they're going to try and manufacture the evidence in order to convince people that it does exist. And I'm like going, okay, where's it going to be located at? Oh, some blue state that, like New York or Washington or New Jersey or, somewhere. And they're going to just, use that as an excuse to continue sticking ice on people and, cracking down on, dissent and criticism. And other than that, they're trying to go after the disabled as well. Like, oh, this is going to be great. Because that's what they're going to do. Eventually. It's kind of sad, if you ask me, but that's the way this administration operates on now. And the funny thing is, they're not very good at it either. So all their puerile, juvenile attempts at scaring the population in the line is just getting more and more laughed at because they're a joke. If you go to the other country or the military dictatorship that actually had the stones and the means to pacify the population, we wouldn't be talking about it right now. But like I said, our Republicans are so inept and incompetent, they can't even get that right. So they're just frustrated and mad that everyone's standing up to them and they don't like it. So they do this crap and call it in the national security, the best interest of national security. Of course, you know, it's what Benjamin Franklin said. If you want to trade national security for safety, then you've got neither. You know, and that's exactly what he was warning about. And he was also famously said, "It's a republic if you can keep it." Okay, what my... Oh, I see what I did wrong. I see, I didn't do that, I missed it. Where is it? It's down here. Make sure I got everything. I didn't unload the RPGs, RLG7s off my character inventory. It's 128. Yeah, I think I'll take a break. I'll grab something to eat afterwards. La-di-da. Please tell me we're gonna... Yeah, if aliens were to visit Earth, there would be nothing, there would be no suitable representation or a, in the middle of the road representative that would actually illustrate all the qualities and aspects of humanity, the good parts. We're too busy killing each other. Just get the heck away from our planet and head for the next 3 galaxies over. We'll just take care of our crap while you're gone. No, I would not want any, alien delegation to visit this planet because we're too primitive and too stupid to get along and all this fun stuff. I'm saying, oh, Elon Musk should be the one. Elon Musk, the guy whose rockets keep blowing up on the launch pad. Okay. Slide going. Yeah. Oh, man. Let's see. Who would be a good, suitable ambassador? Let's say. Well, that's a tough one. Oh, I got an idea. Hmm. Ah. Whoops. Hmm. Uh. Or C dead. so he basically did not because yeah, he's trying to pardon someone from state crimes. That's not going to work either. Let's see. Where is it? Just gotta find it. And it is right. By the way, spicy dill pickle salted peanuts. The Hamilton Farms one, very, very good. I keep buying them at the Dollar Tree. And well, I normally like the regular salted ones. Okay, those are my favorite. But the spicy dill pickle flavored um, peanuts, the ones with shells on it. Oh yeah, that's the stuff dreams are made of. Okay, I'm okay with that being dill pickle flavored, but there's some other things that should not be mixed with pickles. Okay. And I'm pretty sure there's a couple of things I recently discovered online or locally that just does not. It violates all rules of food consumption, but also violates the natural laws of physics. I'm just like going, how did you manage to get that inside that? It's like somebody. Well, I went down to that mushroom place last month and discovered they have mushroom infused chocolate. Actual mushrooms. I mean, not actual mushrooms, but flavored chocolate, flavored mushroom, flavored chocolate kind of thing. You know, so it's like it tastes like a mushroom when you eat it. And I stood there, listened to this guy, and I'm thinking, "Are you kidding me?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I was like, "I didn't even know such a thing was possible." Oh, now they're trying everything. You know, because that's what they do. And I'm just like, "Oh my god." This is like the most strangest thing you'll ever see, and it's not just delegated to potato chips now. They're trying it with everything, and I'm finding all kinds of weird stuff in food items. Not that it's a bad thing, but it's just who actually had the idea at 12 o'clock at night to come up with this weird 6-flavor combination, stick it in a potato chip, and call it good. Or dill pickle ice cream, or dill pickle cottage cheese flavored, or dill pickled sour cream flavored, or dill pickled chocolate bars, or I don't know, raspberry flavored whatever pizza. Okay, raspberry flavored pizza. Someone's going to come up with that eventually, and we're all going to go, why? Because they're trying to attract. You know, they're trying to attract the customer. They're trying to get the customer to buy something new that they haven't tried yet. And I'm going, you realize most of this stuff shouldn't even be in the food pyramid. Okay? Trust me, not a good thing. Yeah, I can do that one because it's not even going to be it's not going to even be a pound. Where is it? It's right here. Okay. Oh, I see what I did wrong. Now I understand. I forgot to dump more of my advanced packs in my storage. Ugh. Okay, where is it? So I'm a little distracted here. Let's see. Let's see, that's about good. Oh, hell. Oh, okay. Ouch. I see what this problem is. Well, that'll cover the 30 I gotta put in my storage box, but I gotta also dump out, I'm gonna dump that out, so I'm gonna try. For some reason, I'm not able to... No, that's not gonna work either. Let's see. Okay, give me this one. Okay, going down, going down, going down. Let's see, Soviet coordinate data. Let's see if there's anything here that weighs more than a couple of pounds I can get rid of. Oh, what the hell am I putting flamethrower and napalm in here? Let's see, 1080, maybe, I hope. I can also do the resistance arrows too, since I'm accumulating way too much. Just gonna make it good. Because if it's even 40, I'll make that, see what happens. Oh man. Let's see. Alright, let's see. That one, buckshot, grenade. Oh, yeah, I can get rid of that. I mean, I can recycle it. Da 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 da. Uh, or yeah, why not? I'll just lob these two puppies in the air and just, you know, give radioactive dual-purpose rounds are only good, but they're not. They don't do much damage. They just cause, you know. I mean, they don't cause physical damage. They just, you know, wreck the whatever. But okay, let's see. Anything else on my list? I already gave my friend all the explosive 50 caliber ammunition. Oh. I like that. Hey, look, it's this. It's like crap. Alright, let's see if I can just do something here. No, that's not going to look good. Okay. Oh. Well, it's a good thing because that would have sucked. That's what happens when your storage box is full. You try to press the square button. Yeah, there you go. You're welcome. Whoops, can't do that yet either. Okay. Obviously that's not going to work. Okay, I got everything. Okay, so I'm going to do this.